Y'all feel it?
A message to all you pseudo spitters. The sound is cool, but the trend I see is the truth is missing. I feel the flow is stupid. You claim that the music's different. I guess it's all opinion, depending on who was listening.
What's the word, y'all? It's KTR_podcast, No Rose Podcast. You are now live and direct with Cinco, Big Harv, and J-Bo himself on this Tuesday for our Wrestling Weekly Recap, WWR, with Ramblin Gamblin Sports Network, because it's all about the money. Because if don't talk about dollars, it don't make sense. Follow them at Gamblin at ANDGAMBLIN. We live, man. We are here. How y'all doing today?
Extra live. I'm still at work. I'm still on the job. Ain't getting no live.
And I just got off work myself, so I feel you.
Oh, man, that sucks. I'm just here. But anyway, before we get started to this episode, be sure to follow us on all social media platforms. All social media platforms at KTR_podcast, Twitter, Instagram, Another Rose Podcast, Facebook, YouTube, Another Rose Podcast on every podcast platform, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts. We're on everything you can name and think of. But this episode is specifically about what just happened in the recent days in the WWE world, and that is the WWE Draft.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it. Yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I'll give it. It was some, man. It was some good picks. I'm gonna go through a quick review of what everybody did. So on the Raw side, they had Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, R-Truth, AJ Styles, The Fiend, Randy Orton, Braun Strowman, Matt Riddle, Jeff Hardy, Keith Lee, Ricochet, Elias, Sheamus, Angel Garza, Humberto Carillo, Drew Gulak, Tucker, Dabba-Kato, Titus O'Neil, Akira Tozawa, Riddick Moss, Erik, and there's a new person. I think he was from
Arturo. Ruas. Yeah.
There you go. You said it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
You said who?
Artist Ruas.
Yeah, that person. Because I was about to mess up that name bad.
I'll talk about him in my feedback. Go ahead.
Cool. In the factions for the men, we got New Day, Hurt Business, Miz and John Morrison, Retribution, and Lucha House Party. On the women's side for Raw, Asuka, Charlotte Flair, Naomi, Alexa Bliss, Lacey Evans, Nikki Cross, Peyton Royce, Lana, and for the tag team part, Shayna Baszler, Mandy Rose, and Dana Brooke. I'm sorry, Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, Mandy Rose, and Dana Brooke. That was all on Raw. Yeah. SmackDown, we had Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn, Seth Rollins, Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, Big E, Aleister Black, Apollo Crews, Otis, Murphy, Kalisto, Laura Sullivan, King Corbin, Shorty G, along with the Street Profits, Cesaro Nakamura, Ziggler and Rude, Ray and Dominic Mysterio. And for the women, we have Bayley, Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair, Carmella, Natalya, Billie Kay, Tamina, Zelina Vega, and the Riot Squad with Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan. So, overall, how did you feel about this draft?
Well, because I got a lot to say, and Jay Harv is the one who predicted a lot of the breakups, I'm gonna let him start off.
Oh man, I ain't got too much to say. I don't want to brag. I predict a lot of things true because instead of going off of what I feel should happen, I go off of the WWE machine and how they operate. And tag teams don't last that long in WWE. New Day lasted longer than any of us expected, longer than we expected Kofi's reign to last, longer than they lasted a long time. They were a merchandise juggernaut. They were crowd, and I really think it has to do with the crowd not being there with the reactions and everything, not being what they were. They feel more comfortable breaking up certain groups because they broke up a lot. And they switched some people, which I didn't expect them to switch.
They did.
So it's all in all, it's a really good draft, really good shakeup. I think it's going to do a lot of good for the product. It's going to do a lot of fresh matchups. It's going to be a lot of new teams forming because that always happens too.
Mm-hmm.
But all in all, I think I'd give it a solid B+ for those movements.
All right. You know me, I got a lot to say about this one, but I'll try to be as quick as possible. All right, so let's start off with Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. I love the fact that they're both on SmackDown. If y'all don't set up for them to take off at WrestleMania against each other, you guys would have done the women's wrestling a strong disservice. Sasha Banks has not held that belt for more than a month, and this is the opportunity for Bianca Belair to build up. Keep them separate for the next 6 months or so. That way they can have a great match at WrestleMania. That was one of the biggest benefits of the draft, was Bianca Belair coming to SmackDown fresh. But I want to go straight into the New Day because there's layers to this thing. There's so many
It's
layers.
a New Day. Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
It is, because New Day ain't there no more. So it's brand new day.
It's sad. I feel bad for Big E's new interest music.
All right, let's unpack this. So with Big E being on SmackDown by himself, everyone knew that, everyone wanted him to be a singles competitor. Now they got it, and forcibly so, because now he ain't got Kofi and Xavier by his wayside. So this is actually a good thing for Big E to try to prove himself. I'm just hoping creative sees the same way. Personally, I liked how they broke up. It wasn't because of negative animosity. It wasn't because they turned on each other. It was because of the draft. So I see in the future them having a great reunion with each other, hopefully when the crowd is back, so they can get a very nice pop. But I'm looking future. Now, one thing about Kofi being on Raw, and if you want me to be interested in Retribution, you need to set up Kofi Kingston and Ali. If everyone remembered, Ali got eliminated from Elimination Chamber because he was injured. Kofi took his place. That inevitably turned out for him to be WWE champion at WrestleMania. If we're talking about Retribution here, this is perfect for Ali and Kofi to go at it. This is the only way I will truly be interested in that.
Well done. Well done.
Thank you. I wasn't even thinking about that deep, but dang, look at
because I'm sitting here like Kofi's back on Raw. Ali is leading this group. This is perfect opportunity. But anyway, to keep going, one last thing I'll say about New Day. I am concerned about Xavier Woods. Here's why. You got Big E doing his thing over there on SmackDown. Kofi Kingston, let's be honest, it's a great tag team and great singles competitor. Not saying that Xavier Woods is bad. He's fun in the ring. But I don't think creative is going to focus on them like they will Kofi and Big E.
Absolutely.
Xavier is a good tag team competitor. He's a good mouthpiece. But I don't think they have faith in him as a singles competitor. So I'm going to be looking out for Xavier because I'm a little concerned with that going forward. Next one, Tucker. The boy's career is over. If you're talking about, if you're talking about,
tuck it away, Tucker. Tuck it away.
You're tuck it away, tuck it, and the boy is done. If you're talking about Bland on the mic, I mean, come on now. Tucker being by himself is not a good move for him, but he could surprise us. He could. I just don't believe in it. Okay. Switching up the tag team titles between Xavier Woods, Kofi, and the Street Profits. That was interesting. Obviously, I expected something like that, but my question is, does it mean they are continuously champions, or did their reign just end and now they're new champions? For the New Day, that's okay, but for Street Profits, they had the belt since before WrestleMania. So it's sort of like an abrupt stop to their reign just to be SmackDown Tag Team Champion. So I guess I'm still a little iffy on that, but I'm not too much against it. All right, a few more last things. Ruas, artist Ruas, who? When they put him on the draft, I was like, okay, that's kind of awkward. I know he's from NXT. I know he was on Underground, but he got the type of character that WWE isn't going to take seriously. You saw what they did to Santino. He had a good, serious character over in OVW, but then he came over and his theme song was, and it was just a wrap from there. Okay. So I don't know what to come from him, but like I said, finishing up, Sheamus, glad he's on Raw. This is a good reset for him. He came in strong. I love it that he went back to the good old Celtic Warrior. It didn't really go too well on SmackDown, but on Raw, I look forward to it. Matt Riddle being on Raw, I think that was one of the biggest head scratchers to me. Raw is for the straightforward, mainstream wrestlers, while SmackDown is more to the personality and to the character, which I think Matt Riddle would have strived greatly on. I'm not saying he's going to do bad on Raw. It just I'm kind of interested what they're going to do with him on Raw over there. And then the last thing is, I'm going to do this thing called Unexpected Benefits. So I'm going to name 3 wrestlers where I'm pretty sure no one's going to think too much on that I think they're going to benefit from. Kalisto's number 1, John Morrison number 2, and Murphy is number 3 from the switching of the draft.
2 out of 3 is not bad. Yeah, that was a good.
I agree with those two. I agree with everybody but Murphy. I think they're going to do Murphy just like you said they're going to do Woods. I don't think they see the longevity in Murphy.
I agree. Everybody
really
but Kalisto.
Yeah, that's why he's my number 3.
Yeah.
For a mass wrestler, they need Kalisto. They just don't know what to do with him. They really don't.
They don't, but I have faith that now that he's away from the Lucha House Party, one of a terrible stereotype since the Mexicals, that he can actually do something.
That was wild.
They ain't riding around on garden equipment. They ain't cutting grass on the way to the ring.
I didn't realize how bad that was until I got old. I'm like,
older.
Yeah,
I was the same way.
This is real bad.
Man.
That's another time for another day. But yeah, anyway, here's my 2 cents about the draft. For me personally, I'm gonna start with this. The splitting up of heavy machinery. I did not like it.
Of course you didn't.
I didn't like it. I like heavy machinery. I like Otis especially, but I feel like this is gonna hurt them. They're not individual wrestlers. They're a tag team. They need to be together.
I agree.
Because once Otis loses that Money in the Bank briefcase, it's a wrap. Unless they treat him like they do R-Truth with the 24/7 title and keep him relevant that way. That's the only way I can see that being successful. Number 2, after Monday Night Raw, I'm not as salty or mad about the New Day splitting up now, because I saw when the Street Profits and New Day exchange their titles, the Street Profits are now going to be the New Day. It's the passing of the torch. Look, everything's going on Street Profits right now. They're the entertainment of the WWE. They're doing all the commercials, the interviews, spotlights, and things like that, promos, the things that New Day were doing. Just gotta give them time to keep building and building so they get their own merchandise and things like that. Not saying they're gonna have bootios or anything like that, but you never know. Shit, they might have some solo cups in your local BP gas station or Shell because of Montez Ford. Or like they're gonna have some headbands. Like they're marketable. I can see that now. It's just trying something new, so I can live with it. But I ain't like how Biggie could have been a singles wrestler with New Day. They could just did what they did with Kofi, but that's another story.
Yeah.
And like I said, J-Bo said earlier, like with Raw and SmackDown, Raw is basically for the big monster action like wrestlers, and SmackDown for the people that are good on the microphone. SmackDown's entertainment, Raw's for people for Big Harv and J-Bo. So yeah, so that's how I see it, because that's why I like SmackDown more. But no, it works out that way. So I see everybody that got drafted to SmackDown can carry a promo and make it entertaining for a good 2 hour span. But yeah, that's pretty much it for my 2 takes. And
so you think that the actual wrestlers on Raw are better than the actual wrestlers on SmackDown?
No, they're just bigger.
What I'm confused.
They're just bigger.
I'm confused on the statement because you said Raw is more our speed, but I'm there for the actual.
You're there for the action. I'm there for the entertainment.
Right.
SmackDown has the entertainment on their side.
Oh, SmackDown also has better wrestling matches generally than Raw.
Man, that sounds like a personal problem to me. But anyway, yeah, that's that. Yeah. So, that's my 2 cents about the WWE Draft. But I liked it overall. It was good. Lars Sullivan couldn't stay out, but that's another story for another day. But anyway, y'all have anything else to want to touch on?
Nah, you wrapped it up well.
Cool, pretty much. Big
what I want to touch on is any time that we're discussing things that predictions are being made, make sure that you just rock with what I say, and you won't be steered wrong. Yeah, that's it. Pump those numbers. Love you guys.
Well, that's all the time we have for our WWR Wrestling Weekly Recap. Be sure to follow us on all social media platforms. KTR_podcast at Twitter and Instagram. Know the Ropes Podcast at Facebook and YouTube. Know the Ropes Podcast on every podcast platform. Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts. We're on everything. Be sure to follow Ramblin Gamblin Sports Network on Twitter, because don't talk about dollars. It don't make sense. Follow them at ANDGAMBLIN. And we are out.
What should they do, boy?
Pump those numbers.
There you go.
Those numbers. Pump it up.